So I'm calling this video Fischer Black and Me because it's an attempt to update what I see as Fischer Black's original intuition about how the financial system worked back in 1970, and that's what this above the red line is, Fischer Black 1970. He was looking at the world through the lens of the capital asset pricing model of his friend Jack Trainer, imagining there are different kinds of people, risk-tolerant people and risk-intolerant people, holding the equity of society. I'm showing them as having each $100 worth of net worth. The risk-tolerant people leverage up by borrowing from the risk-intolerant people here, and the risk-intolerant people leverage down by holding only half of their net worth in equity and the other half in risk-free loans. These are risk-free loans, and in Fisher's view, they're channeled through a bank. So he's imagining, he called it a world without money, but it was not a world without banks. There was $50 worth of loans and $50 worth of deposits. This is the world as he was imagining it. Now, I'm proposing the emerging world of the shadow banking system rather differently, that instead of this $200 worth of net worth being held by these individuals, it's all being held by a professional asset manager here, and all being ultimately invested in these risky residential mortgage-backed securities here. But the connection between these capital funding bank, as I'm calling it, and the asset manager here is in two dimensions. One is through the funding. So the capital funding bank uses these residential mortgage-backed securities as collateral for borrowing in the money markets. And the asset manager invests, is making those loans. It's investing this capital in money, but is getting its risk exposure in the derivatives markets. The capital funding bank is getting rid of the risk in these residential mortgage-backed securities by issuing interest rate swaps to turn them from long-term securities to short-term securities, and issuing credit default swaps to turn them from risky securities to safe securities. And those swap exposures are being held by the asset manager here. From this point of view, there are two key intermediaries. There's the global funding bank, which stands in between the money flows here, and there's also the derivative dealer, which stands in between the risk flows here. These are this vision of the world I will call PM 2012, and it arises in an attempt to understand the world that Fischer Black made in the last 40 years.